Guys, finally, after all this time, we have some actual big spoilers directly from Dragonflight. Not tiny crumbs and hints on what could be, should be speculations, but legit, we have some serious meat as a new in-game book was data mined in Dragonflight pre-patch. There is a Titan Watcher report on how Kelakron got corrupted, what Yogg-Saron did, how they converted the Proto-Drakes into dragons, and what we know of and what they have been doing on Azeroth. So what is all this new information and what is going on? Let's just get into it as there is so much to unpack. If you guys are looking to buy a new wallet, then check out the sponsor of this video, Ridge. They sent this thing to me years ago and it's literally the only wallet that I've used. Recently, they've also released Keycase as well, so you can check that out as well, but overall their products are great. For the wallet, you can put 12 cards here, you can push cash on the side, and it's just super cool. If you want to get a 10% discount, use code DORON and check out my link in the description below. Thus far into Dragonflight, there really hasn't been all that much crazy new, just groundbreaking information. Despite the expansion being announced half a year ago, we had a few chunks that hinted at some big things, but finally, after all this time, we have data mined something of quite serious significance. As you may already be aware, Uldaman is going to be a dungeon in the Dragonflight pre-patch, which is going to be out in like less than 2 weeks, which got many of us wondering why exactly this place, because why are we going to Uldaman? But looks like the pieces of the puzzle are starting to fall into place. We have data mined a brand new in-game book called Progress Report Uldaros, which is essentially a conversation between Locien and Tyr, the Titan Watchers, and they talked about them creating the so-called Halls of Infusion, which we will discover on the Dragon Isles. This really reads quite similar to that Natrizim report back in Shadowlands, if you may remember, which was quite a significant bit of new lore that drastically changed a significant portion of the old stuff. The book is called Progress Report Uldaros because Tyr mainly talks about Uldaros, the new facility on the Dragon Isles. However, the dragons started calling it Tyrhold, which is what is known up to this day. Now, what is incredibly interesting from this report is that much like what Blizzard did with the Light in the past few years, they are starting to do now with the Titans. Before, Titans were the benevolent gods, the ones that freed us from the grasp of the Black Empire and the old gods, and they saw us as their children, and they helped seed life, they enlightened us, created the environment, and made all these systems to seemingly protect us from evil. Well, looks like this is starting to become a lot more gray. Here, they talked about how they don't exactly like how much the Titan Forged are starting to form opinions of their own, and they seem to just blatantly be converting the dragons into their minions to serve their goals, as they say, in order to keep the world structured and disciplined, as opposed to saving them, as is the usual narrative. Now, when you think about it, this completely aligns with the setup from the Shadowlands and the entire storyline about how the Chronicle was just from a Titan perspective and it isn't exactly the truth. Previously, in Shadowlands, from the brokers, we learned that Titans are just Order Pantheon that serves their own purpose, so just a cosmological force, and they may not exactly be the benevolent force we believe them to be. So let's start examining this document from the start and let's uncover all this new information, because we got talks about Yogg-Saron, Kelakron's corruption, and possibly even the Well of Eternity. Tyr is talking to Locien, the main Titan Watcher guy you may remember from Wrath of the Lich King, and is just letting him know what the progress is like towards their common objectives. The so-called Halls of Infusion seem to be operational, which is actually a part of the entire facility that is called Uldaros. Then they talked about how they imbued Order magic into the Wellspring and how it is only beginning of their conversions. Now, here's the thing, we don't really know what Wellspring they're talking about exactly here. As the continents were just one mega continent, it is hard to say where is what part. So it is entirely possible that this Wellspring could be the fabled Well of Eternity that they infused with arcane magic, which was originally the blood of the World Soul. So if it even was the blood, because, you know, they told us this story, it could have just been water that they infused with Order magic. However, as we have previewed from the actual Dragonflight beta, the Halls of Infusion, there seems to be a lot of pools in this place, which could just be a random well on the Isles that the dragons drank from and that the Titans just built their machinery over it, and in my opinion, this is the most likely scenario. Here's the thing, these guys literally poured arcane or their Titan magic into a drinking well in order to convert the dragons and align them with their philosophies. This is a quote exactly what they say. By ingesting the water or causing their eggs to absorb its effects, it should be possible to keep even the most willful dragons aligned with the Titans' philosophies. Our efforts to bring the proto-dragons in line have faced resistance, but I'm formulating a strategy to speed the process along. Now, here comes the most interesting bit, because before this conversion was possible, looks like the guy that you all know of, Yogg-Saron, got his hands on these waters and decided to contaminate them. This is what they say in regards to this. Already, we are detecting reduced levels of contamination. I hope your investigation into how Yogg-Saron compromised these living waters will yield answers. In the meantime, we can be assured that the evolution of another Galakrond will not be triggered by consuming unfiltered water. So, if you are not exactly aware, this is 100% a confirmation that the magic that corrupted Galakrond, that mysterious force that turned him into an unliving monster gigantic dragon, was literally just Yogg-Saron's doing. Pretty much the same thing that he did with the Emerald Nightveil. Well, I gotta say I'm happy we finally got a confirmation on what this was. I am a bit bummed that they just went along with something so simple, because there were a lot of speculations that this could have been an entirely new force that we were yet to discover. However, looks like Galakrond just drank the old god corrupted waters, which turned him into a monstrosity. After this, the Titan Watchers say, once purification is complete, an additional benefit will be found in offering the infused water to dragonkind. So, what we know thus far, it doesn't seem like they originally infused this well, but that Yogg-Saron somehow managed to escape a part of his prison or spread his influence outside of it, corrupted the waters, and Galakrond, a pretty powerful dragon, drank it and therefore just got corrupted. So the Titan Watchers, seeing this, purified the well through order magic, which in turn infused it with power that pretty much did the exact same thing as Yogg-Saron. It's just that it corrupted it towards their own side, or as they say in their narrative, it infused them, which I'm pretty sure would be the exact same language Yogg-Saron would use from his own perspective. You know, I didn't contaminate them, I just infused them with our magic. Then in the report, Tyr talks about how the dragons are calling Orderos Tyrhold, which he doesn't personally like. He talks about the Titan Forge getting more autonomy than he really likes of their own, and then he ends the report with, in closing, let me underscore once again how fervently I disagree with the assertion of Prime Designate Odin concerning the unsuitability of the dragon aspects. I have every confidence that they will prove fervent allies on our shared goals of keeping the world structured and disciplined. So, as you may guess, it turns out the Titans really screwed up. They didn't imprison Yogg-Saron correctly, so he was just constantly messing with them and their creations. He first corrupted Galakrond, then created the Curse of Flesh, which completely weakened the Titan Forge, and even corrupted the Watchers themselves, and just spread chaos overall. And then he even went along with corrupting World Trees and interfering with the Emerald Dream. So this is quite a significant bit of information and new information that we have. It looks like we are finally set to discover who the Titans actually are in Dragonflight, as this is obviously just the foreshadowing at the start of the expansion, as the Primalists seem to be working to do something with Galakrond, and he may have been corrupted by Yogg-Saron. It turns out that the old god theory that they may be the final boss may not actually be such a long shot, since they're mentioning Yogg-Saron's corruption and we already have old god minions of the Dragon Isles. It is likely we might either see the return of Yogg-Saron or the return of that fifth old god that has been speculated about for quite a while now. Additionally, when we take Shadowlands into account, it seriously seems like Blizzard is starting to set up the Titans a lot more great than before, and we might start learning soon that they may not be so great after all. Maybe the dragon aspects are not really the protectors of Azeroth, but they are the protectors of Titan interests, because they drank their waters and they essentially corrupted them. So if this storyline continues like this, we may be onto something quite serious. Thank you for watching. Check out who could be the end boss of Dragonflight by clicking on the screen, and check out the Notes Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.